You know of the rebellion against the Empire?
Perhaps you referred to the imminent attack on your rebel fleet.
Where is the rebel base?
I didn't know there was anyone willing to stand up against the Empire.
Hello and welcome to Unmistakably Star Wars and this edition of Rebels Reaction. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Christine.
On this episode, we're reacting through, it's a tongue twister there, through Imperial eyes. Christine, your initial reaction in one word.
Scary.
Scary. It wasn't that scary.
For you, maybe.
Mine was overconfident.
Oh. Yeah, that applies.
It does. I am not overconfident in my initial reaction because it's spot on.
Wow.
As usual. So explain your fear, how this episode was scary for you.
Okay, so first off, Thrawn has already been scary enough just in seeing his mind work.
Uh-huh.
And then we see him fighting two droids. What are those droids called? Like, they're not assassin droids, but they're...
Well, I think they're a version of assassin droids.
Really, really intense droids. Fighting him off with just his fists and a stick.
Yes.
That's crazy. So, already just showing more and more of his intimidating nature. And then the episode itself, figuring out... I did not see how they were gonna get out of the situation they were in, how they were gonna get out of it without getting caught and undermining the whole deal, the whole fulcrum relationship with the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, when he decides to stay, and then we see that Thrawn knows, it's just
Yes, that's where that overconfidence comes in.
Yeah.
Agent Kallus did such a good job throughout the episode of evading and avoiding, and
he just throws it all away.
Yeah, pretty much. He's overconfident in his ability to stay undercover.
Yeah, which I get, but also, how did he think that the story was going to hold up once people actually interrogated List? Because it was very obvious that he had no idea what was going on.
That's true. So I don't know. That's the
it's just so overconfident.
The writer's plot point. It's trying to build that tension.
Tension's
and
hard.
I know, and I think this episode did a great job of building that tension.
It did.
I think from season 1 now to season 3, we've built this relationship with Agent Kallus.
Yes.
From being kind of the ominous bad guy
mm-hmm. to
sort of incompetent
mm-hmm.
Imperial officer, never really getting the job done.
Yeah.
To then suddenly kind of having sympathy for him
mm-hmm.
when he and Zeb were trapped on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And now kind of appreciating him as
someone we actually care about,
as he's been helping the rebellion.
Yeah.
And now he's in trouble.
Yeah. Once we finally have total sympathy for him and he's someone that we're emotionally attached to, he puts himself in the stupidest situation.
It's like they meant to do that. Darn.
Pulling at our heartstrings.
Storytellers. Let's jump into the big three, plot points as we saw them throughout the episode. It really starts with Ezra's arrival.
Yep.
And I really got the feeling as soon as we see it's Ezra, and Kallus is kind of like, crap.
Yep.
How am I going to get out of this?
Yeah.
And I guess it's on the initial the initial ship, not Thrawn's Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
So it had probably a little more freedom there to avoid having to reveal he knows who Ezra is.
Yeah.
So the issue becomes now List is saying, "Oh, we captured this rebel.
Yeah.
I need to make up for my previous incompetence."
A little overeager.
Yes, and it's interesting that Callus doesn't push back against that.
Yeah.
He just kind of was like, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Shoot. I don't know what he could have done, but also List is pretty easy to manipulate, so he could have done something.
Yeah. But it wouldn't drive the story the way
That
it needed
is
to.
true.
So, yet again, we then come to Thrawn's arrival.
Yeah.
So first we have Ezra arriving,
So
then we have
intense.
Thrawn arriving. And I think this is really where, for me, not only was it Callus having to make that initial decision, and Ezra telling him, "Hey, we're here to get you out because they're on to you,"
Yeah.
that Callus is he's cognizant of what Thrawn knows,
Yes.
but not to the full extent.
Yeah.
So he knows that Thrawn is close to finding the rebel base. He wants to avoid that, so he
Yes.
doesn't want to just bail.
Yeah.
So that he's willing to take additional risks because of that, but not necessarily.
He doesn't realize how aware Thrawn is.
Yes. And I think with Thrawn's arrival, and then we see a character that we saw all the way back in the Clone Wars with Yularen,
Yeah.
and kind of the relationship there between the trust relationship between Yularen and Callus.
Yeah.
And I think Callus sees that as something that he can kind of take advantage of. Not that I think he's trying to intentionally hurt Yularen, because I think there's
He does actually care about him.
there's a respect there for him,
Yeah.
but I don't think he likes Price, Governor Price. He has zero respect for List.
Yeah.
Yularen, there's some respect, and then there's kind of I think there's a respect in the sense that he can kind of appreciate or is trying to avoid the wrath of Thrawn,
Yeah.
but not like a respect like he has for Yularen, like
A chummy respect.
or he's a guy that I would follow into battle, whereas Thrawn is kind of a respect of I want to keep you at arm's length. So it's kind of interesting seeing that dynamic as well.
Yeah. But for being around Thrawn as much as he is, Callus doesn't have that much, or as much as I would think of a healthy fear of Thrawn. He seems like he thinks he can always outsmart him.
Yes, and I think that's because Thrawn plays his cards so close to the vest that he'll just reveal the tiny piece of information that he needs to reveal at that moment to get done what he needs to get done. And that's what Callus has seen.
He hasn't seen the full extent of his Thrawn-ness.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of... And Callus does a great job throughout the episode, and I thought it was fun to see kind of his cunning throughout, and
Yeah.
totally taking advantage of List and
Yeah.
playing List off of Price and vice versa, and really trying to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And he does a great job of it. And really, for him to be the center of the episode, we haven't seen that where really the Imperial characters are the main characters,
Yeah.
and the Ghost crew are kind of the secondary support characters
Yeah.
throughout the episode.
Which was cool. They named it well, Through Imperial Eyes.
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That makes a whole lot of sense. The entire episode is through Imperial And seeing that situation, and how he really took advantage of the characters that are there.
Yeah. He is very intelligent, and he does a really good job of manipulating his subordinates and his equals. I just don't think he realizes how much of a superior in intellect that Thrawn is.
Yeah. So
which is his downfall.
Yes. And that's where number 3, his plan unravels.
Yeah.
So he's set himself up so well throughout the episode. He has the opportunity to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of seemed like that entire mission was for naught.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of... I'm a pretty big fan of Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've heard people say that Indiana, Harrison Ford's character, is inconsequential to that whole movie.
That could definitely be argued.
If not detrimental, because if the Nazis would have either never found the Ark, or if they had, they probably would have taken it directly to Hitler.
Oh yeah, I killed
opened
him
it up
too.
and killed him.
Oh, gosh, never thought about that. That's true.
So I just saw a lot of parallels in that if Ezra had never shown up to try to get him out, Callus probably would have never been found out.
Yeah.
So
Kind of undermined his whole role.
Because Ezra's the key.
Yeah.
Ezra is what Thrawn put together.
Yeah.
To link how Callus kind of...
Yeah, how it all came to be.
How that situation got turned around.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some benefit in that if Thrawn didn't notice that the Chopper base had been wiped off the map, or one of his selected worlds, and had been replaced by another, as he was looking at the map after they made that change, I really got the feeling that he knows what worlds were there and what ones weren't.
Yeah. He says, like, seems like everything is in order, but it's hard to believe his words when you know there's so much going on in his brain.
Yeah, so I'll be really interested to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the feeling that he knows.
Yeah.
Something.
In which case, he will now know which world it actually is on.
Yes, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So I would hope that it wouldn't be a double whammy there.
Yeah. But
we'll see. I think we're going to see a move on Lothal before that base is discovered.
That's probably true.
But that's just me. But that by the end of the episode, all that work that has gone in on the part of Callus is just completely unraveled because of Lys' obvious incompetence.
Yeah.
The fact that they identified Ezra because of Sabine.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of Thrawn's
big picture mindset, like that he cares enough to analyze the art. That's something that we've seen in the past, obviously, and it was cool to see it come back, that the fact that he cares about things other than just the detail of the moment, and he cares about art, he cares about culture, is what helps him to discover the mole in his group.
Yeah. And that's really the key, I think, is because Yularen doesn't really notice it because he's blinded, as Thrawn mentions, by the fact that Callus is this star pupil, as well as Price and others. Yeah. So Callus continually does enough to kind of show that he's competent in doing his job, but as Thrawn, like you said, looks at the big picture, he can see how Callus is kind of moving those pieces along on the board for his own ends.
Yeah.
So that'll be the really interesting part to see as Callus, because I could see Thrawn making a move very quickly
Yeah.
in getting rid of Callus, or doing Callus's demise maybe coming very quickly, or he'll let him kind of play out, and I think that's probably a little bit more of the direction we'll see, is with, I think, one of his final lines saying Fulcrum will be far more valuable than
Agent Callus ever was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more what he's going to do, because it's so Thrawn to play the long game, to not take quick action, but instead to see how the situation that has presented itself can be used for a much more far-reaching goal than the present. So I don't think he's going to kill Callus right away, or imprison him, or even let him have any idea that he knows. I think he's probably going to leak false information or do something to set a big trap. And that may be the big trap that we've been waiting for, to see what he does.
Yeah.
Which will be super interesting. Terrifying, but super interesting.
Yeah, the snare continues to come closer.
Yeah.
And I can only see Thrawn using Callus as a cog in that wheel.
Yeah.
As opposed to just offing him.
Yeah.
So he's going to feed him a lot of false information to reveal more about the rebels.
Yeah. Which will be interesting from a character and storytelling point, but I'm scared to see it actually happen, because I care about these characters.
Yeah, and I think that's the point of the way they're setting up these stories, and why,
I know, but it's
and
just so
why,
heart-wrenching.
why this season has been so strong is because we're finally seeing that character development that's been happening over the previous 2 seasons and throughout this one really kind of come to fruition as they're put in genuine danger.
Yeah.
And I think we're only going to continue to see them be put in greater danger. And I think there's only 5, maybe 6 episodes left in this season.
Oh.
So there's a lot going on, and I mean, even in these last 3 or so episodes, I've pretty much forgot about Maul.
Oh yeah.
And all that stuff that happened at the beginning of the season that is coming as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I think, a very climactic end to season 3, and I'm pretty excited.
I still want to figure out what happened to Ahsoka.
We might get that eventually. Maybe not. It'll just be a mystery.
No. That's lame.
All right. Final thoughts, bottom line for this episode.
It was good. It was strong. I feel like any episode with Thrawn in it is just so intriguing and fascinating and terrifying. It adds so much to the big story.
Yeah, he's such a dynamic character.
He is.
In that he can play time-wise a very small role, but dominate the entire episode.
Yeah.
And really the most intriguing character of the entire show for me, because he's so manipulative of the situation and the information. He uses the information so well, unlike any other character.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really sets him apart from so many characters we've seen in Star Wars, period.
Yeah.
But particularly Rebels.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated how kind of validating Callus, because he's kind of got the crappier end of the stick throughout the first couple seasons, and partially even through season 3. Even though he's started to help the Rebels, it's kind of been on a so-so basis, and we kind of have some reasoning for why he might be a little more incompetent in his job, but it didn't seem like he was really trying that initially. It was just, you keep letting the Rebels escape.
Yeah.
So showing that he is very capable, I think, strengthens his character for me.
Yeah.
Especially as I look back into previous seasons.
Yeah. I've almost forgotten about my distaste for him for a while.
Yeah. because there's such a shift in his
Yeah.
character. So I felt that overall a very strong episode. A lot of tension. I think in the Sabine arc in the previous 2 episodes, there was tension there, but it wasn't quite the same sort of on the edge of my seat tension.
Yeah.
It was more of
Emotional tension.
yeah, and in kind of internal turmoil.
Yeah.
As opposed to like I need to run away from this
Yeah,
situation.
what's
kind of
happening?
thing. Yeah. So it didn't feel as cinematic as Legacy of Mandalore. I think probably in part because of the setting, but it very much was a thriller
Yeah.
of an episode. So again, yet another strong episode. I don't think we're gonna really see a letdown throughout the rest of this season.
Yeah, there's only 5 episodes left.
I don't think we can really manage that because there's so much going on story wise that can really be a part of
Yeah.
any of it.
Excited to see it all come together.
It'll be fun. That wraps up this episode of Rebels Reaction. Be sure to check us out online at unmistakably.starwars.com. Our various podcasts that drop throughout the week. We're on Twitter at unmistakably.sw. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Facebook.com/unmistakably_StarWars. This has been Rebels Reaction. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Christine.
Until next time, may the Force be with you.